Welcome to the I Dream of Indie channel, everyone. It's Rogue Hearts, and I'm here today with horror sci-fi dungeon RPG Undernauts Labyrinth of Yomi from publisher Axis Games, which I played on PlayStation 4 via PlayStation 5. Putting the player in the first-person perspective, this game has you in the role of an Undernaut recruit, comprising a team of adventurers who explore and mine the mysterious Yomi dungeon, a large, unknown structure that one day rose unexpectedly from the ground below. Filled with riches and mystique, this labyrinth attracts those with a lust for adventure and those seeking to earn their fortune. Employed by the Cassandra Company, you and your team are tasked with exploring a new unknown area of Yomi. Death, horror, mystery, monsters, supernatural occurrences, and unexpected encounters all await you and your team as you find yourself trapped in the gloom of Yomi and seeking an escape from the darkness you'll encounter. Before you get to the drama and adventure, however, you'll have to choose your main character. You'll be able to select from 4 unique characters and apply your choice of character class, job, background, trinkets, and statistics to them in preparation of the dangers ahead. I found the character choices themselves to be somewhat limited, with physical variations of each character mostly relegated to palette swaps of the same 2 outfits. But the variety of character classes and combinations that follow offers surprising depth. I chose to play the game as a grizzled vagabond protagonist. After a brief solo stint to begin the game, you will eventually be able to add 5 other party members to your team, though you can create many more and swap them in and out as you desire. The character choices here are much more varied and interesting, ranging from dwarfs and police officers to mystics and schoolgirls. It's a very random and interesting assortment of choices which I found to be both intriguing and mystifying. It's certainly fun, however, and figuring out each character's strengths and weaknesses, as well as how they will complement your party, is a key element that will incorporate into your strategy when exploring. Along with your main character, your party members too can level up, gain skills, apply equipment and accessories, and take on different roles. Again, the depth here surprised me, and I was pleasantly surprised by the amount of customization available to me in both character and gameplay aspects. As previously mentioned, the game takes place in the first-person perspective and has you moving along a grid-like map that reveals itself to you as you traverse the dungeon's perils. Movement took me a bit of getting used to start, as the grid-like controls are a bit more difficult and clumsy than typical first-person controls. I found myself using the D-pad mostly for movement, and after a while it was fine, but it was a bit jarring at first. Random battles do occur as you explore, but there are also enemy encounters visible to you on the map that you can either choose to avoid or engage with. The difficulty and reward options for these generally optional encounters is based on the color of the enemy on the map. Red enemies will drop better treasure, for example. You will also receive various items called flowers that can be used at certain locations on the map to reveal hidden doors, unlock gated doors, or create a challenging enemy encounter that will result in high-level loot and experience. Enemies themselves are randomized in battle and varied in appearance, but all are generally grotesque and monster-like, with characteristics of real-life creatures you'd see in the wild. The game's challenge level I felt to be rather difficult, and it took me a lot of grinding and returning to safety to recover and gather items to advance. It did get a bit easier after some grinding, but overall I felt the challenge remained pretty consistent. I would say that this game really encourages the user to experiment with party members and formations and puts focus on upgrading skills and abilities to advance. So yes, it is hard, but in a good way. Graphically, the dungeon itself doesn't offer a whole lot of eye candy to start. It's rust-colored and filled with harsh wood and steel structures. It creates a bit of an oppressive tone, which I suppose is what it's supposed to do, but it can get a bit redundant when it comes to exploring. You won't see too many landmarks, for instance, as it all kind of looks the same. The sectors and cutscenes offer a bit more variety, however, and break up the monotony of dungeon exploring. Artwork is excellent on both characters and environments, but expect similar drabness when it comes to color palette. An artistic choice to be certain, and one I think works here effectively in setting the mood of the game. It isn't all bleak, however, as splashes of color and variety do make their way into the game as you progress. There isn't a whole lot in the way of animation, however. Enemies, while well designed and rendered, don't offer much movement. The turn-based battle system helps to alleviate the need for this, however, and in my opinion, it works well with the gameplay. It's old school RPG in this regard, with slashing animation and screen flashing used to emphasize the action. Overall, the game breaks no new ground visually, and won't have you jumping out of your chair in excitement, but it works well in the context of the gameplay and the world the game is building. Musically, it's more of the same in this regard. The soundtrack is distant and sparse and does a good job of supplying the background atmosphere for dungeon exploration. In battle, things pick up a bit in an effort to get the adrenaline flowing, and then slow down to a more serene and relieving pace as the fight concludes in victory. Sound effects are really well done, even if they are a bit video gamey, if you know what I mean. They work incredibly well in emphasizing the various actions during battle and exploration, and it made for a really satisfying experience. It avoids ever becoming annoying or trite, and helps to immerse the player in the action. I've avoided talking too much about the storyline thus far, but fans of horror or sci-fi will find a lot to like here, I think. There are some rather gruesome and mature scenes throughout the game, so be aware of that if that's not your thing. I personally kind of like that stuff, so for me it was a story and a world I found intriguing, especially as things progress and mysteries unravel. The gameplay is challenging and fun, and the depth of character creation and dungeon exploration adds lots of value to this title. $60 worth of value, however, I'm not sure I can argue that point. It's a rock-solid game, if unspectacular. For fans of turn-based RPGs, old-school leveling systems, and dungeon exploration titles, this one is certainly worth a look for you, although you may want to wait for a discount. It's a labyrinth worth exploring, just don't lose sight of the entrance behind you. I'd like to now offer my thanks to the channel's most fervent supporters who help to make the quality content that we attempt to bring you possible. Mitchell Hall, Bunny, Kevalo, Bill T, Christian Cruz, Chris Jackson, Nathan Moore, Peach, Adriana Amato, CJR, PSC, C Coil, Skeptism, Jen Rose, Jesse, CPM, Julian Colbus, JRS8, Raylan, Marky Mint. If you'd like to support us, there are various means to do so in the description box below, but none more important than your continued viewing and support. Thank you all, and we'll see you next time.